Hello, this is Jason Hendler, and I am going to cover these homeworks exercises 1, 2, 3, and 4, each in a separate video. This video is going to be on exercise 1. If you look in the textbook, which is the Beginner's Guide to SOLIDWORKS 2015 Level 1, written by Alejandro Reyes, if you look on page 82, exercise 1 is the top half of the page. And unfortunately I can't show it to you in this video because it's only what's on my desktop. But essentially what you have here is a part with a lot of symmetry in it. Honestly, if you took this drawing exactly as is to a machinist, they'd hand it back to you and say the drawing isn't fully dimensioned. And the reason for that is the author wants you to recognize the inherent symmetry in the part and to use that symmetry, and it goes towards what we were talking about in the last class about using the reference planes properly for symmetry. So let's start with a new part. And the first thing we always got to do is make sure we're on the right units. In this case, our drawing is in inches, so we'll select inches. Also, all the dimensions are 3-place decimals, so again, to do that, you go up here, you hit Options, and then you go to Document Properties, Dimensions, and then Primary Precision. You change that to 3, and that'll give you 3-place decimals. And now we're set up right. Then the next thing you got to do is make sure all your planes are visible. So if you mouse click the first one and then hold down the shift key and click the right plane, then you select a little pair of glasses. Those planes will now be visible all the time. So I find that to be very helpful. And so now what we want to do is draw this part. And as usual, you always start out with what tends to be the mounting base. So we're going to extrude a boss, and the plane we want to select to give us the same isometric view that they have in the drawing is this top plane. And we want to draw a rectangle. Now in the class before we used like a center line and added relations and all that stuff. That really wasn't necessary. Let's do the other rectangle that we learned how to do, which is the center rectangle. And then that allows us to snap right to the origin, and then we can draw this thing. And if you look at the dimensions, you can see it's like 6.5 inches wide, and it's about 5 inches deep. So I'll draw something in that kind of ratio. And then I'm just going to go ahead and smart dimension it. And I'm going to make that 6.5. Check and see how it's 3-place decimals. And we'll select this one, and I'm going to make this 5 inches. Check. And now I have my base rectangle. And so I can turn off the smart dimensions, and since I have this feature properly dimensioned and located relative to the origin, because you can see the center lines are already in there and snapped, we can go ahead and exit sketch. And now it prompts us for a blind dimension, and if we look at the drawing, it's 0.375. So we're going to change that to a 0.375. And we are going to just click in any box so that takes, and it shows you the preview of what it looks like, so it's going in the right direction, everything looks good, so I'm going to check that, and now it's done. My general approach to things is I like to add all material first and then subtract material as a second step. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put these two bosses on there, and I'm going to do it one boss at a time. So I'm going to extrude a boss, and since they dimension the height of these boss from the top surface of this plate, I'm going to go ahead and instead of selecting one of the planes, I'm just going to select this top surface as the plane that I work in. And now you can do one of two things in order to rotate the view to the way you want to see it. So you could go in here and select top view, but what I prefer to do is if you just click on sketch, this little symbol appears, and it is a plane with an arrow pointing out of it perpendicularly. So what this is this will rotate your view normal to whatever sketch plane you've selected. So it doesn't matter what orientation the sketch plane is in. it'll go normal to it, which is really important because we're going to come up with things that your top, left, right, bottom views just cannot get you to. So if you use this button instead, when you have auxiliary views and auxiliary directions and stuff, it works out much better. Okay, so now we want to put these bosses, and generally their shape is a 2x2 square with a big radius on it, so I'm just going to create a 2x2 square, and to do that I'm going to use the corner rectangle. And this is important. Select this corner point. You see that little point that pops up? That will add relations locking your square that you're going to draw to that corner. So then I can just draw that square like that, and click, and now I'm going to smart dimension it. This side is supposed to be 2 inches, check, and this side is supposed to be 2 inches, check, check. I can go ahead and draw the fillet in here right now, but I want to show you some things you can do in features. When you mirror stuff, you don't have to mirror one feature at a time. So yes, I could draw a fillet in here, and you may certainly do that, but I'm opting not to in this case. So there's my 2x2 square. I'm going to go to an isometric view that allows me to see, okay, is it pointing in the right direction? If it isn't, I can go flip and it'll go in the other direction or back, so you can toggle that back and forth. And now, according to my drawing, I need this to be 2.5 inches tall. So I'm going to go ahead and make that 2.5 inches tall. And there I have my boss. Okay, so I could go ahead and mirror this and put it over here, but I'm not going to do that yet because I can mirror several things at the same time. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a fillet on that corner as a separate feature. I want a fillet that isn't the full round fillet. I just want one corner. And that gets us to the box, and they want to know what I want to fillet, and so I'm going to select that edge, and I'm going to say full preview so I can see what it looks like. And now I'm going to set the dimension, and the dimension that it shows is for 1 whole inch, so that's a pretty big radius. And so that's what it'll look like. Everything seems good, so I'm going to hit check, and there is my boss with that full or big radius on there, that 1 inch radius. Next, there is this half inch 20 ANSI thread that needs to be placed. And again, there's no dimensions on it, so the assumption is it's in the center of the square, or also the center of this radius, since this is 1 inch, that would put it in the middle. So I'm going to go to Hole Wizard. I'm going to select Hole Wizard, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this type of hole, make sure it's ANSI inch, it's a tapped hole. But instead of 632, I'm going to have to come all the way down here to half 20, and what it says is use default settings, which means whatever numbers pop up in these boxes, just use it as is. And now that I've selected what type of hole I want, the next thing to do is to select the position. So it says select the face that the hole's going to be in, so it's going to be this top face here. And notice I've automatically got this little hole showing up, and what I want to do is hover over this so that my little target shows up, and then I snap to that, and now my hole is there, and I hit check, and there's my hole where it's supposed to be. Okay, so now that I've got all these items in here all at once, I can mirror them all at the same time. So what I do when I mirror is I'm going to select the first main part that I'm going to mirror, and then I select mirror. It wants to know the plane about which I'm going to mirror, so it's going to be this center plane here called the right plane, and it'll mirror across it. But features to mirror, I want more than just that boss, because I want the boss, I want the fillet associated with it, and I also want the half 20 tapped hole. So I can add all 3 of those items in there all at the same time, and they all get mirrored at the same time. So now I hit check, and boom, all those features are now over there. So that's what's really nice about mirror, is you don't have to sit there and mirror, 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 mirror. You just do one mirror command and get a whole bunch of things mirrored with it. Finally, I have that 1.5 inch hole that I need to put in. So you can just select this top face again, and say extrude cut, it gives you the sketch, and I want to move normal to, so that's going to rotate me around to where I can see this. I'm going to select my hole or circle, and I'm just going to draw any diameter, because when I smart dimension I'm going to be able to put anything that I want on there. And now I'm going to make this 1.5, return, and there is the hole. I hit check, I hit exit sketch, and as always go back to a isometric view, and yes, it's cutting down and through. I want to make this through all, and so that way, you know, if I change the thickness of this plate, it changes with it. And I hit check, and there's my hole in it. And now the only thing left is it tells you that the material is AISI 1020. So we have to go over to this material button, or selection here under annotations, and you right click it and to get edit material, and then the whole list of material shows up, and here is AISI 1020 under steel. So if you just select that, then you have to select apply, and you notice that AISI 1020 is now the new material written here, and then you just close this box, and now this part is done. So let's do a save as, and then we can do where am I at? Yeah, that'll be a fine place to put it. So anyway, remember where you save it, and then call it exercise 1 dash, and then put your initials. In my case it's JMH, but you put your initials and then just save, and then upload that part to me, and that's all you need to do for this particular assignment.